5 weeks of football left. Can you believe it? That is definitely not the Christmas present that us diehard football fans want. We do not want this season to end, but the reality is we're going into week 14 already. Week 13 wrapped up. We got a lot of storylines coming into this next week. Kenny C here, back on the Kenny C Show. Welcome all of you that are returning to the channel. God bless, thank you very much, and I thank you for hitting that subscribe button and being a part of the action. I also want everybody, whether you subscribe or not, to get in the comment section and give me your thoughts as the video goes on. But those that don't subscribe, what's the point in not subscribing? I bring the energy, the entertainment, the facts, the opinions, all of it, and most of all, I want to hear from you guys. So hit that button, stay locked into the Kenny C Show, stay engaged. We talk any and all sports, YouTube shorts. I pump them out just about every single day. Football, basketball, hockey, baseball, we talk it all. And in this one, we are going to talk AFC, NFC, in the hunt teams. The playoffs are nearing in. We have 3 teams from each conference that still have a glimmer of hope, still vying for a spot in the dance. We're going to get into which team of those 3 in each conference has the best shot, in my opinion. You can throw the statistics out the window and the probabilities, which I will present to you what they are, but I will give you who I think will emerge from each of these conferences and get a spot. We're going to start in the AFC. As you look at the playoff picture here, you got the Patriots and the Broncos vying for the 1 seed, with the Broncos squeaking out a win on Sunday Night Football against the Commanders. It took a Nick Bonito swat of Marcus Mariota in overtime for them to pull it out, but they pulled it out. So now when you look at the teams that are trying to get in, you got Kansas City, you got Pittsburgh, and you got Houston. Houston here at 7-5. Right now, the Houston Texans have a 62% chance to make the playoffs. The best of these 3 teams. DeMeco Ryans running a well-oiled ship. Texans looking good in their last 4 with CJ Stroud back in the fold. They got the #1 defense in the league, but things don't get easy for Houston. We have a big matchup between Kansas City and Houston, Week 14, Sunday Night Football, that could potentially decide who gets a spot. If, in fact, the other 3 teams, between the Chargers, the Colts, and Buffalo, if they falter, this is all hypotheticals. We're playing the game of if one of these teams has a chance to get in because somebody else fizzles out, which team has the best shot to do it? And when you look at Houston, they got this game in Kansas City on Sunday night. That is going to be a tall task. I know the Chiefs are coming off a loss against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving in Texas, but that's even more fuel to the fire for Kansas City to go out and get a statement win. Then the Texans have Arizona. They should win that game, but that's still a scrappy Arizona team led by Jacoby Brissett. They got the Raiders. That should be a win. But then they got the Chargers and they got Indy. So the road for Houston is not easy. When you look at the Chiefs side of things, the aforementioned game on Sunday Night Football, I do think the Chiefs emerge victorious in this game. They have a 37% chance right now to make the playoffs. But when you look at the Chiefs, the Texans have the 8th hardest remaining schedule. The Chiefs, the 6th easiest schedule in the league, and they are the Kansas City Chiefs. If there's any team in the NFL that has the pedigree to mount a comeback and storm back by force, it's Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. When you look at who they have coming up, I think that they beat Houston, like I said. Then they got the Chargers. They're 0-1 on the season against the Chargers. But I don't know how much I trust the topsy-turvy Justin Herbert-led offense. I know the Chargers are coming off of a nice win, and they got Vidal, I think is how you pronounce it. He is the nephew of, who was he? He's a nephew of a legend. I'm forgetting who he's a nephew of. It's like one of the legends of the game. It'll come back to me. But Vidal's running with conviction right now, and I understand Harbaugh. He's got that team playing good football in totality, but I think the Chiefs pull out a win there. Tennessee, come on now, they're 1-11. That should be easy dubs for Kansas City. Then they got Denver. The second to last week of the season, they have Denver, who already has beat them earlier in the season. But Bo Nix and the Broncos, when does their luck run out in playing 1 quarter of football, in this case for Sunday Night Football, 2 quarters, if you count 4th quarter and the overtime? When does their luck run out in playing 1 total quarter of quality football? When the first 3 quarters, it looks like, I don't know if the Broncos are going to win this game. How long are you going to rely on a Bo Nix comeback in the 4th? The Chiefs' offense is inevitably, going to figure it out. I know we're getting late into the season for them to do so, but Mahomes always has the magic. He can always play the Superman role. I think they beat Denver. I think the Chiefs go 5-0 in these last 5 games of the season and finish out 11-6. I think they obviously beat the Raiders in the last game of the season. So I think they go 11-6. And if I have to go with a team, it's Kansas City. I'm not going to go with Pittsburgh. Percentage aside, they have a 29% chance to make it right now. The 5th hardest schedule in the NFL. We saw what they look like with Aaron Rodgers against the Bills in that 26-7 loss. Rodgers has no weapons. Darnell Washington has been his primary target. It doesn't look good in Pittsburgh. They had trouble running the rock between Jaylen Warren and I'm blanking on his name now. Jeez, this is a disaster right now. I'm blanking on guys' names. Kenneth Gainwell, that's the other back. They had trouble running the rock between those two. They don't have the explosivity offensively. They don't have the weapons, Pittsburgh. They have a really quality defense that did as much as they could against Josh Allen. But all in all, I don't think they have what it takes to run this table. They got Baltimore twice. They got Detroit, they got Miami, they got Cleveland. As you take a look at the schedule here, I don't know if they have the wherewithal to do it. I mean, this game could come down because you look at Baltimore at top of that AFC North at 6-6. It could hypothetically come down to the last game of the season, Baltimore-Pittsburgh, to decide who wins the division. I just don't think, and I love Aaron Rodgers to death, but I don't think that he has, A, the health right now, and B, the star power of weapons aside from DK Metcalf in that offense to get anything going down the stretch. So I'm going to go with Kansas City to come away and get a playoff berth in the AFC. Now we could see the Texans win the AFC South because when you look at the Colts' upcoming schedule, they're at Jacksonville this coming week. Then they're at Seattle, who's playing some great football. Then they're home against the 49ers, home against Jacksonville again, and they round out the season against Houston, which is another matchup that could decide who wins that AFC South. I don't know. The Colts seem like they're slipping in these last couple. So I'm not so sure. I mean, Houston with a huge statement win against the Colts already this past week. Then the Colts lost to the Chiefs in a narrow one, which you knew that once the Chiefs got the ball back, they were going to win that game. So the Colts might be slipping a bit. And I could see the Texans squeaking in and winning that division. Kansas City, by default, if the Colts do in fact slip up, or the Chargers who are at 8-4, we get 3 of those teams at 8-4, including Buffalo at the 5, 6, 7 spots. I think the Colts or the Chargers have a good chance of slipping up and letting the Chiefs, which is dangerous, get into this playoffs. Now we switch ahead to the NFC here. When we look at the NFC playoff picture, you got the Rams and you got the Bears, who I don't think anybody had in December to be atop the NFC, trying to go for that first round bye and home field throughout the playoffs. I know I'm a Packers fan, and you're going to look at my shirt and my surroundings here and my setup and say, well, this guy's biased as hell. But really, let's speak logically here. It's a nice win against the Eagles. I know the Packers lost to the Eagles. If Love makes even a few quality throws, because I watched the tape, Love did not have it. He had an off night. If he has a mediocre night, they beat Philly as well. The Bears, quality win against Philly. You force more turnovers, the best turnover team in the league defensively. I don't know how much stock I hold in what the Bears have done this season. Who have you beat? The Saints, the Raiders, the Bengals, the Giants. They barely beat the Commanders. They barely beat the Vikings. They lost to a Tyler Huntley-led Ravens team. I don't know how much I really trust Chicago. They're 9-3 right now. They're looking good. This is it. Huge statement game in Lambeau Field, or at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. 4:25 on Sunday. The Packers need to show up and show out as well. We're looking good as of late. We're firing on all cylinders. A huge statement win against Detroit on Thanksgiving, pummeling them. We held our ground in the back half of that game. Micah Parsons, 2.5 sacks, wrecking things. Jordan Love, 4 touchdowns. Wicks with a gigantic game. This is going to be huge. This could decide the division this week, and then in 2 more weeks when the Packers go to Soldier Field to take on the Bears. So So when you look at these 1 seeds with the Rams and the Bears, it'll be interesting to see if Chicago can hold up. But let's talk about the teams that are in the hunt: Detroit, Carolina, and Dallas. When you look at these 3 teams, right now, Carolina and the Cowboys have a 16% chance to make the playoffs, according to the NFL. 16% chance, with Detroit at 42%. Detroit's got a tough go of it coming up here. They got Dallas, which this is a gigantic game for both of these teams if they want to make the playoffs. When you look at Detroit sitting at 7-5, Dallas at 6-5-1 with the big win on Thanksgiving against the Chiefs. Carolina coming off of a big win against the Rams, forcing Stafford to throw some picks and turn the ball over. The Carolina Panthers are at 7-6. They beat the Packers already on the season. Well-oiled machine under Dave Canales. They look really solid. When you look at the 5, 6, 7 spot, this is where we got to play the hypothetical game, because you got Seattle at 9-4, Green Bay at 8-3-1, and San Francisco at 9-4. Of those 3 teams, the team that I would expect to slip would be San Francisco, just because of the topsy-turvy play of Brock Purdy. Now, Kyle Shanahan is up for Coach of the Year with what he's been able to do with this team in the wake of all the injuries and having Mac Jones pull out wins for his team. But if I had to choose one team, it would probably be the 49ers to slip up. So let's say that they do. Let's say that a spot opens up for Detroit, Dallas, or Carolina. Who's going to take that spot? Well, when you look at Carolina, coming off of a big win against the Rams, they're buzzing right now. They look like a quality team. They're at the Saints. They got the Bucs twice, once at home, and obviously one on the road. And then they got Seattle. That's not an easy go of it, and that's no wonder that there's 16% chance to make it. Let's see if Bryce Young's got it in him. The defense has been awesome, and you saw what they did against the Rams with that strip by Derek Brown and the touchdown to seal it. They look really good right now. Detroit doesn't look so hot, but you can't count them out because of the firepower that they have. Amon-Ra St. Brown left that game and left me with a big old donut for my fantasy football team. Completely screwed me this past week with that. But when you look at Detroit, they got Dallas, which is a huge game. That could decide things down the stretch. They got Pittsburgh, who I think they could be. They're at the Rams, Detroit is. That's going to be an interesting matchup, the battle of Stafford and Goff. Then you got Minnesota, that should be a win. But then you have, who is it, Chicago in the last half? Let's look at the schedule here. As you look at, they got Chicago to cap the season off. Detroit does. So that is no easy go of it. Dallas too, though. When you flip over here to Dallas, they're at Detroit. They are home against Minnesota. They're home against the Chargers. Then they got Washington and they got the Giants. Even though Dallas, I believe, they're at least top 7 in terms of strength of schedule, hardest remaining schedule. Dallas doesn't have an easy go of it too. But when you look at who Dallas has gotten back on defense, the trade for Quinnen Williams holds to be a giant one for them. You're getting Siobhan Revel back, your DB2, so to speak. You got back DeMarvion Overshown. Oso Odigizua on that D-line with Kenny Clark as well. Sam Williams. They got Davion Clowney, who's a big pickup. This is a Dallas defense that is firing on all cylinders at the right time and playing some quality football with that 31-28 victory over the Chiefs. Of these 3 teams, if I had to lay it on the line, I'm taking Dak Prescott and the Cowboys to run the table here at 6-5-1. I think they could beat Detroit. I definitely think they can go out and beat Minnesota. They can beat the Chargers, and they've already shown that they can beat the Giants and that they can beat Washington. They have the Giants number historically. That's going to be the last game of the season. I think Dallas here, you could look at a Dallas team winning, let's say, as I said, they can beat Detroit, beat Minnesota, that's 2-0. Let's say in the hypothetical they lose to the Chargers, 2-1, and then you finish out against Washington and the Giants, both on the road albeit, but Dallas has the firepower both offensively and defensively to do it. You're looking at a team that can go 4-1 in their next 5. Give me the Cowboys to run the table if San Francisco slips up and make the playoffs. I want to know your thoughts. Who's going to come away with a potential trip to Super Bowl 60 and make the playoffs out of the AFC and the NFC? Hit that subscribe button, hit that comment section, and stay tuned for more football talk come Week 14.